My girlfriend texted, "I'm pregnant, but it's not yours." I replied, "Congrats to the father then." Then I blocked her number and sent a condolences on your new responsibility card to the man she named. She was frantically trying to reach me through friends, claiming she made a mistake. Monday mornings always felt like slow death by oatmeal. Our engineering huddle was dragging, someone was complaining about deployment logs again, and I was half listening, half scrolling through Slack when my phone buzzed with a new text. It was from Natalie. "I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant. It's Daniel's." "I'm sorry." I stared at the screen for what felt like an hour. I read it again, and then again. Daniel, her colleague, the guy she swore was just hilarious and always had the best coffee recommendations. That Daniel. A few feet away, my manager was talking about sprint priorities. Someone else asked if the server environment would be ready by Wednesday. I looked up, nodded like I was still mentally present, and quietly slid my phone into my pocket. Not a flinch, not a blink. If anyone had looked closely, they'd have seen the muscle twitching in my jaw. That was the only tell. But otherwise, I was stone. Inside, though, my brain was folding in on itself, reorganizing itself around this sudden implosion. 3 years together, a shared apartment, 2 cats, planned trips, half-packed dreams, gone. I didn't leave the meeting early. I stayed. I even chimed in once or twice. When it was finally over, I walked out like it was any other Monday. My coworker Jason slapped my back and said, "You looked spaced, dude. Everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just a long weekend." I waited until I reached the privacy of my desk before I pulled out my phone and typed one single sentence. "Congrats to the father." Then I blocked her number. There was no satisfaction in it. Just a click. A clean slice. Emotional anesthesia. I didn't want her explanations or apologies. I didn't want crying or guilt or promises to do better. I wanted her out of my head like a tumor that had finally been found and cut away. I took a long sip of my cold coffee and opened a new browser tab. Daniel worked at a startup that liked to brand itself as corporate casual. Their team page had headshots with awkward smiles in front of concrete walls. I found his profile in seconds. I copied the mailing address to a note. Then I stood up, threw out the rest of my coffee, and walked to the elevator. My lunch break was in 15 minutes. I would use it to buy a card. Not the kind you send for congratulations. The opposite. Condolences. For the loss of his peace, his marriage, if he had one, his boring life of morning coffees and harmless workplace banter. I picked a nice one. Matte black, gold foil. Inside I wrote, "Heard the news. Best wishes to you and your new responsibilities." No name. No signature. Just a little dose of consequence, dressed up in sympathy. I dropped it in the outgoing mail bin at a copy shop on 3rd Street and walked back to work like nothing had happened. The damage was done. Now I was just cleaning up the ash. I spent my lunch break buying a condolences card. I spent my afternoon changing the locks. Not in a frenzy. Not in a rage. I wasn't tearing things apart or smashing picture frames. I was calm. Focused. Cold, if I'm being honest. The guy at the hardware store gave me a nod as he handed over the new deadbolts. "Doing some upgrades?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. Back at the apartment, I installed them without music, without a podcast, without any distractions. Just the rhythmic click of my tools and the sound of my own breath. With each screw, each lock plate, each test of the key, I felt a little more in control. Like I was physically rebuilding the boundaries she had broken. When the locks were done, I turned to her things. Natalie had a lot of stuff. Scarves, shoes, mugs with sarcastic quotes. Beauty products that took up half the bathroom. Books she never finished. Trinkets from weekend getaways. A million fragments of a shared life. I packed them with surgical precision. One box for bathroom stuff. One for kitchen items. Another for bedroom drawers. I didn't throw anything. Didn't break anything. I wasn't trying to hurt her, I was just removing her. I labeled every box clearly. Bathroom, top drawer. Books, bedroom shelf. Clothes, dresser. I stacked them neatly near the hallway closet, taped shut and ready for retrieval. The apartment already felt lighter. I scrubbed the kitchen, tossed the expired yogurts she liked, took out the trash, even ran the dishwasher. Every small task felt like I was exorcising a ghost. At some point, the cats started acting weird. Hazel kept pacing near the front door. Toby sat in the hallway staring at the boxes. I scratched his head. "She's not coming back," I muttered. "Not the way she left." By early evening, I'd cleaned every trace of her from the common areas. Her Polaroids? Off the fridge. Her reusable grocery bags? Folded and packed. That framed photo of us at Big Sur? Gone. It wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. About not being surrounded by reminders of someone who could smile at you while lying through their teeth. I ordered takeout, ate on the couch, and waited. The sun was down. Her shift usually ended at 7. She'd be home by 7:30. But not today. Today, she'd walk up to the door with the same key she always used, the one I replaced 6 hours ago. She'd try to slide it in and it wouldn't turn. She'd wiggle it, maybe curse under her breath, maybe knock. She'd think it was a mistake or some weird mechanical issue. She'd have no idea that I'd already cut her out like a rotted floorboard. The lock would tell her everything. By 8:15, I heard footsteps outside, then the sound of keys, a pause, then the rattle of metal against metal, then the knock, sharp, confused. Derek? I didn't move. Not yet. She knocked again, harder this time. That's when I stood, walked slowly to the door, and waited behind it, just long enough to let her feel the silence pressing in. She knocked once more. Derek, what's going on? I slid the chain into place, unlocked the deadbolt, and cracked the door just an inch. She gasped when she saw my face, and I said nothing. Not yet. Derek, she said again, voice higher now. Why won't the door open? I kept the chain on and leaned forward just enough so she could see my face. Nothing on it. No rage. No heartbreak. Just quiet certainty. I changed the locks. She blinked, confused. What? Why would you, Derek? Come on. Let me in. You're not welcome here anymore. She stepped back, her mouth opening like she was about to argue, then closing again when she realized I meant it. Okay, look. Her voice softened, desperate. I didn't mean for you to find out like that. I was going to tell you in person. I just panicked. I didn't know how. You had 3 years, I said, and you used the last 6 months to cheat on me. It wasn't like that, she said quickly. It wasn't planned. I didn't try to, God, Derek, I didn't even think it would happen like this. But it did. Her eyes started to water. She reached out like she might touch the door, then stopped herself. Can we talk? Like, actually talk? I made a mistake, okay? I know that, but I'm scared and I don't know what to do. I do, I said. What? Let the father handle it. Her face fell. You didn't even want kids, she said, almost a whisper. You told me once, remember? That you weren't sure. And now I'm sure. Sure that I won't be raising someone else's. Her lip trembled. Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. You did. I'm just following through. She let out a shaky breath, then her phone buzzed. She glanced down at it, then frowned. Oh my God, she muttered and stepped back. What? I asked. She looked up, eyes wide. Daniel, he just got a card. From you. Condolences, I said coolly. It felt appropriate. You're unbelievable, she snapped. Do you know what kind of hell you just started? You mean the kind you started when you climbed into bed with your coworker? Derek, he's married, isn't he? I asked. Her silence was answer enough. So, I said, now 2 homes are burning instead of 1. Her voice dropped to a pleading tone. Please don't shut me out. I made a mistake, yes, but this doesn't have to be ugly. I closed the door an inch further. This is the clean version, I said. No yelling, no drama, just consequences. I'm carrying a child, she said, like it was a trump card. I looked her in the eye. Then I hope the father steps up. Her mouth opened again, probably to spin another excuse, but I didn't wait. I shut the door gently, not with a slam, but a finality. Like placing the lid on a box you'll never open again. She knocked again, then again. I didn't respond. She finally screamed, you're heartless. And maybe I was. Or maybe this was just what a boundary looks like when it's drawn by someone who's been quiet too long. I walked away from the door, sat back down on the couch, and let the silence return. She stood out there another minute or 2. Then she was gone. The next morning, it started. Not with Natalie. She was silent now, probably busy trying to clean up the mess I'd delivered to Daniel's doorstep. But her silence didn't last long. It just changed form, morphed into other people's voices. The first text came from her best friend, Clara. Hey, I know things are messy, but Nat's really struggling. She didn't mean to hurt you. I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, an email. Subject, please read. You don't have to forgive her, Derek, but don't punish her either. She's pregnant. She needs support, not more pain. Support? Funny how none of them had opinions when everything looked normal. When we were sharing rent, grocery lists, Spotify accounts, nobody had thoughts about our relationship then. But now suddenly everyone had a statement to issue. By noon, there were 3 more messages from mutual friends. 2 were cautious, the kind where people try to sound neutral but really aren't. The third just said, I don't know what happened, but Nat's mom called me in tears. She says Natalie's a wreck. Can you please just call her? That one made me pause for a second. Not because I felt bad, but because it confirmed what I already knew. Natalie wasn't grieving what she lost. She was just upset she couldn't control the fallout. And now her mom was joining the campaign. Sure enough, the voicemail came that evening. Hi Derek, this is Lorraine. I know you're hurt, but please don't abandon Natalie when she needs you most. I raised her better than this and she's just scared, not malicious. You're a good man. I know you are. Please be better than this situation. I deleted it mid-sentence. Be better than this situation. They all said the same thing in different words. Show grace. Be the bigger person. Think of the child. But not a single person said, I'm sorry she lied to you. I'm sorry she betrayed you. I'm sorry she shattered your life. Nope. The burden was already shifting. Off her. Onto me. She was no longer the cheater. She was now the pregnant woman who needed compassion. And me? I was being recast as the man who dared to say no. That night, Clara texted again. You don't have to talk to Nat, but please remember there's an innocent life involved. Don't punish the baby for what happened. She wanted to tell you before, but didn't know how. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, let the father handle it. Sent, blocked. Each message that came after felt more entitled than the last. No apologies. Just requests. Demands. Guilt with a bow on top. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about her comfort. Her safety net. The one she'd shredded and now expected to magically reappear. I poured myself a drink, sat by the window, and listened to the quiet hum of my now Natalie-free apartment. The more they pushed, the more sure I became. I wasn't the villain in this story. I was the only one willing to tell the truth. A week passed. No more knocks. No more texts. Just a slow, steady hum of silence. Then came the message from Clara again. I'm coming by Thursday to pick up Nat's things. She's not in a place to do it herself. Please just leave them out front. I didn't reply. She'd find the boxes exactly where I said they'd be, stacked by the hallway closet, labeled and untouched. I hadn't opened a single one since I packed them. Thursday afternoon, right on time, Clara's little silver SUV pulled into the lot. I watched from the living room window as she stepped out in oversized sunglasses and boots way too clean for the weather. She rang the doorbell, but I didn't answer. I waited another minute, then opened the door just as she was bending to check a label. Boxes are all there, I said. You can load them and go. She looked up, startled. Derek, hey. I was hoping maybe we could talk for a second. I don't think we have anything to talk about. She sighed, pulling off her sunglasses. Her eyes were tired, red around the edges. She's not okay. I said nothing. She's not eating. She's barely sleeping. You shutting her out like this? She cheated, I said flatly. And lied. And tried to carry on like nothing happened. Clara hesitated, then crossed her arms. She was going to tell you. But she didn't. She panicked. Then she sent a text. Clara looked away like she didn't have a comeback for that. Then she mumbled she didn't want to lose you. She already had. We stood there in the hallway, surrounded by neatly packed memories I had no interest in revisiting. You were really just going to leave it like this? She asked. It is left like this. She looked around at the boxes again. You didn't throw anything out. Nope. I'm not interested in petty revenge. I'm interested in being done. She swallowed hard. She said she considered not telling Daniel about the baby. That stopped me. What? She was going to tell you it was yours. Said she thought about it for weeks. Figured you'd stay. Figured you'd forgive her. My hands curled into fists at my sides. She planned to lie, I said quietly. About a child. Clara gave a half nod. She panicked. She thought, I don't know, that she could fix it, that she could hold on to the life she had with you and just make it work. I shook my head slowly. She didn't just cheat. She was ready to build an entire lie on top of it. I'm not defending her, Clara said quickly. I'm just saying she wasn't thinking straight. No, I said. She was thinking strategically. She was looking for a way to escape consequences. Clara bent down and started dragging one of the heavier boxes toward the car. She still loves you, you know? She can love me from a distance, I said. And raise someone else's kid while she's at it. Clara flinched. You've changed. No, I replied. I just stopped pretending. When she was done, she walked past me, paused at the door, and turned. Don't shut everyone out, Derek. One day you'll need someone. I met her eyes. Not the ones who needed me more than they respected me. She left without another word. I closed the door. Blocked her number. Again. It was the following Tuesday when I got the fraud alert. An old emergency credit card I hadn't touched in over a year, one I'd forgotten even existed, flagged 2 unusual purchases, a luxury hotel reservation and an online shopping spree at some designer boutique. The name on the transactions? Natalie Anderson. I stared at the alert for a full minute, my stomach slowly nodding. She hadn't just crossed a line. She'd vaulted over it, torched the landing, and tried to smile through the smoke. I called the bank immediately. This card was unauthorized, I said. The cardholder is me. No one else had permission. The rep was polite. We'll open a case and freeze the account immediately. Can you confirm if the charges were made within the last 48 hours? They were, I said. And I want documentation of all of them. I was still calm, but the calm felt different now. Heavier. Like lead settling in my chest. This wasn't desperation. This wasn't some frantic act of survival. This was a woman trying to act like nothing had changed. As if she still had a key. Still had rights. Still had access. I emailed myself copies of the statements and started a new folder on my desktop. Natalie, legal risk. Not dramatic. Just necessary. An hour later, a mutual friend messaged me. You hear about Daniel? I hadn't. I texted back one word. What? The reply came fast. Dude's married. Wife found out. Everything's blowing up. I stared at the screen. Natalie hadn't just lied to me. She'd hidden everything. She was carrying a married man's child. And I'd been the fallback plan, the safe option. The man she could count on to stay, pay, and smile through it all. Apparently, Daniel's wife had received the condolences card. Word spread quickly. That's what happens when you set fire to your house in the middle of the neighborhood. Everyone watches it burn. Natalie didn't reach out. Not directly. But someone leaked a screenshot. A group chat she was still in, venting to old friends. Derek humiliated me. He made it public. He planned it. He sent a funeral card like I died or something. What kind of person does that? One response said, "You did cheat on him though." She replied, "It wasn't supposed to be like this. It never is." But she lit the match. I spent that evening pulling everything into a document, dates, charges, screenshots. Not because I wanted to take her down. Because I needed to protect myself. She'd already stolen time, trust, my peace. I wasn't giving her access to my accounts too. I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch around me. Somewhere across town, Daniel was probably sleeping on a couch or moving into a hotel room. His life imploding just like mine had. The difference? He hadn't seen it coming. I had. Not the betrayal, but the cost. And I was already building the firebreak. Let them burn. I was already rebuilding. Alone. And for once I was okay with that. It started with a letter. Plain white envelope. No return address. Just my name scrawled in loopy cursive across the front. I knew that handwriting. Lorraine. I opened it with a letter opener and immediately wished I hadn't. It wasn't just a guilt trip, it was crafted. Like she sat at a dining table with a thesaurus and a bottle of wine, trying to sound legal without actually being legal. We demand the return of Natalie's personal belongings, including sentimental items that may have been withheld in error. We will be forced to escalate this matter if your unwillingness to communicate continues. At the bottom, she signed her full name, Lorraine C. Anderson, as if that gave it weight. Then the next morning, the real escalation came. In uniform, 2 police officers, right at my door. One older guy, polite but firm. One younger woman with a notepad in hand. "Sir, we're responding to a complaint regarding withheld property and potential theft of personal documents." I blinked. "Excuse me." There was a report filed by Ms. Anderson and her daughter, the older one said. "We just need to verify what was removed from the premises and whether there's any property still in your possession." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just stepped aside and motioned to the boxes still in the hallway untouched since Clara had left the ones she couldn't fit in her car. "Everything was packed and labeled," I said. "Nothing thrown out. Nothing stolen." She had weeks to retrieve anything else. The younger cop flipped open the box marked bathroom, top drawer. Inside, some makeup, hairbrushes, and a scented candle. He nodded. "Looks pretty intact." I handed over a copy of the itemized list I'd made. Photos of the boxes. Time-stamped. Dated. Documented. This was all organized the day after the breakup. No items were added, removed, or tampered with since then. The older officer looked impressed. "You were prepared." "I knew I'd have to be," I said. They exchanged a look. "Looks like a messy breakup, not a crime," the younger one said. "Agreed," the older one nodded. "We'll make a note. Thanks for your cooperation." They left and I shut the door slowly behind them. No slamming. Just a soft click. Enough was enough. I called a lawyer. That evening, the cease and desist went out by email and certified mail. 5 pages. Precise language. Any further false claims or harassment will result in civil litigation. All property has been documented and accounted for. Any contact going forward must go through legal counsel. The next day, I got one last text from an unknown number. "You really think scaring us with lawyers makes you right? You're a monster, Derek." I blocked it. And then, silence. No more emails. No more knocks. No more staged performances of concern. The storm had exhausted itself. I walked through my apartment, noticing how quiet it was. No more heels by the door. No more perfume on the towels. No more half-empty wine bottles on the counter. Just me. Just the hum of the fridge. The creak of the old hardwood floor beneath my steps. And for the first time since it all started, I felt the stillness settle into something heavier. Peace. Not the kind that comes from forgiveness. The kind that comes from closing the last door, bolting it shut, and knowing no one else gets in. I didn't need revenge. I needed respect for myself. And I finally had it. 2 months later, I hardly recognized my life, and that was a good thing. I'd repainted the living room. Replaced the throw pillows she picked out with plain ones that actually matched. Bought a new set of dishes. Canceled every streaming account we used to share. Even changed the locks again, not because I needed to, but because I wanted to. It wasn't just about removing her. It was about rebuilding something that was mine. The mornings were quiet now. No perfume fogging the bathroom mirror. No awkward, tired arguments about who used the last of the almond milk. I drank black coffee. I played records. I left the windows open. Peace felt like a room without her voice in it. One Friday, I met up with Sean from work for drinks. He asked if I was seeing anyone. "No," I said. "Not yet. Maybe not for a while." He nodded. "Honestly? You seem better." "I feel better." It was the truth. Later that week, I got a call from an old college buddy I hadn't spoken to in over a year. After we caught up, he said casually, "Hey man, I ran into Daniel at a trade conference. That got my attention. He looked rough," my friend added. Said he's going through a divorce. Something about a surprise pregnancy and a girlfriend imploding his whole life. I chuckled. "Yeah," I said. "That tracks." He paused. "You had something to do with that?" "Just a card," I said. "A very polite one." He laughed. "Remind me never to cross you." But it wasn't about vengeance. Not really. I didn't send the condolences card to ruin Daniel. I sent it because sometimes the truth needs a stamp and a mailbox. And a little bit of class. From what I heard, Natalie blamed me for everything. Said I nuked her chance at happiness as if her decisions were a footnote. Apparently, she'd even tried to borrow money from a few people, claiming I froze her out and left her abandoned with nothing. But people were starting to put the pieces together. Turns out, when you torch every bridge, folks stop volunteering to carry your bags. I didn't care. Let her talk. Let her spin stories. I had receipts. I had silence. And I had peace. The apartment was mine again. Fully. Clean. Uncluttered. Mine. The cats adjusted too. Hazel stopped waiting by the door. Toby slept on my chest now. Animals know when the energy shifts. One night, I poured a drink and stood by the window. The city hummed outside, car horns, distant voices, the low rumble of the train 2 blocks away. And inside? Silence. Not loneliness. Not emptiness. Just stillness. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need closure. I already had what mattered. She chose chaos. I chose the door. And I never looked back.